Hey guys, it's me, your Average Film Geek. Welcome back to my channel, and let's just jump right into today's video. So today we're going to take a look at Netflix's new 2021 release, Malcom and Marie, starring Zendaya and John David Washington, written and directed by Sam Levinson, who you may know from his HBO work Euphoria or 2018's feature film Assassination Nation. Right from the jump, I was very interested in this film. I read about it first in around July, August, and what struck me was the production aspect of the film. So this is a mid-budget film that cost around $2.5 to $3 million and was shot by a bare-bones crew of 20 people in 14 days. So Levinson, of course, pitched a series of ideas to Zendaya, who also works with him on Euphoria, who she plays Rue. And she also won a Primetime Emmy for that, for her amazing performance in that show. So of course it's a good working relationship between Levinson and Zendaya. Then of course John David Washington reportedly accepted the role after hearing 10 pages of the script read to him via telephone. So it goes to show you that people actually want to work with Levinson because his work is that good. He's very young too, he's around 36. So I can't wait to see what else he has to offer and to share with the world. So as I had mentioned earlier, production of this film took around 14 days, 2 weeks. And after it wrapped up, Netflix snapped up the distribution rights for $30 million, which actually goes to show that Netflix has one eye on the future. As this movie and the way it was made pave a new way for cinema. Because yes, this was a Hollywood film starring big talent, big budget actors, but it had more of an indie film vibe in its production. Very minimal crew, minimal budget, minimal time, and you put all the work in a good story and a good cinematographer as well, who was Marcel Rev, who's also worked with Levinson on Euphoria and Assassination Nation. Just another talented member of their ecosystem where they just produce good quality content on the regular. So the plot of this film revolves around Malcom and Marie. So Malcom is a young black up-and-coming Hollywood director fresh off his hot new debut, and in his acceptance speech he failed to thank Marie, who is played by Zendaya. And Marie was very upset at this, not only because she was the girlfriend at the time, but she also served as artistic inspiration on the screenplay. So the movie was about her life, but Malcom didn't even think to thank her in his speech. So now they come home at the end of the evening and then they have a huge fight about it. Over the course of the film, we see other aspects of their relationship play out, such as Marie's past substance abuse, which was the theme of Malcom's movie, her infidelity, Malcom's egomania and selfishness also comes to the forefront. But in the film, Levinson also tackles issues such as race, how being a black director, a black creative in Hollywood, which is traditionally male and white, how his work, whenever a black director produces work, it's immediately slapped as political or trying to pass a message instead of the film just being what it is, a film to be enjoyed. It has to take on those tags, those weighted meanings that can be very frustrating for the maker, especially if this was not their intent. And then also we see the relevance of film critics being questioned. He calls them at one point elitist with their high elitist education, yet they come and look at my work through that lens. What point do they serve in today's Hollywood? Which are questions I've also been asking myself. Like, this person who is not involved in the production of a movie sits down and in one article, in one paragraph, just breaks down the entire thing and reduces your work to a few words. When you wanted your work to breathe and to be interpreted in so many different ways, they like pollute the waters before it happens. But that's just my personal feeling. Another aspect of the film which I really liked was how black love was portrayed. Stereotypical Hollywood trope of black love where it's painful and it's full of anguish, and usually one person has to give up a huge chunk of themselves, and 9 times out of 10 this was a black woman who had to lose a part of themselves just to find love and just to be accepted by the guy. So it's good to see that love is being portrayed in a positive light. So kudos to Levinson for that, and being conscious and actually taking the time to pan out a good story, not sticking to that old, tired Hollywood nonsense. But I also should mention that Levinson is not the first to do this. By no means am I calling him a pioneer in this aspect. And we have films such as Nothing But a Man, shot in 1964, The Best Man from 1999, or Love and Basketball. Those are some of the films in which black love was actually portrayed. In the film, when speaking about being a black director, Malcolm brings up a very interesting point because he says, as soon as there's new black talent in Hollywood, people are so quick to give them a label. Oh, you're the next Spike Lee, you're the next John Singleton. But then he poses a question: why can't I be the next Willie Wallace? Of course, who was a white director back in the 60s and the 70s. It's very cool to see at least he's poking fun at that mentality, you know, of being so quick to ascribe labels instead of just letting artists be artists and their art being art. One key aspect of the film which I didn't like quite that much was how I felt like Levinson was using Malcolm as a mouthpiece to vent his own frustration towards film critics, because of course Levinson wrote the screenplay, so I feel like he's using Malcolm to vent when he talks about like the white film critic from the LA Times. It makes me think that it feels a bit too personal for me. And of course Levinson does have a kind of history and not being able to handle criticism well, constructive criticism. He's been known for that. So when you take that into account and then examine the dialogue in greater detail, you can get to see that it is a personal attack. He is poking fun. And if you look hard enough, I bet we could find the white film critic from the LA Times, the white lady. She's referenced like 3 or 4 times. So just that goes to show you how much that irks him in his psyche. And that's actually quite interesting to see. I didn't like it too much, but at the same time, it was a bit funny. You know, here he is, he's using this whole production to write his own personal message towards like a group of people, a very small group of people at that. One aspect of the film which I really wish Levinson went deeper into was the backstory between Malcolm and Marie. You know, we didn't really get into how they met. Why was Marie a drug addict? What's the backstory behind that? How did she get clean? Who is she? Is she an actress? At one point we see her getting upset and crying that she wasn't casted in the role of I forget her name. She wasn't casted in his film. You know, so that begs the question, is she an actress? Why doesn't she act anymore? Is it because of the drugs? Do we know why? No. You see, we don't get any backstory towards that. So when they're having this big argument, when they're going all in, it really leaves me with a lot of questions in my mind. I feel like it would be so cool to see that, because even Malcolm says all the things that Marie has been through made her who she is now, and that's part of the reason why he loves her. But now we don't know that. We can't see that. So we have to rely on his words. And Marie is played beautifully by Zendaya. Zendaya is a really good actress, very, very talented. So I feel like she could have been able to explain her history in a very adequate way, which would have lended itself only to the benefit of the film. But one thing I can't help but point out is, as much as Zendaya is stepping out into a new adult role, this role of Marie feels a bit too familiar for me, especially now since I really love Euphoria, where she also plays a teen dealing with substance and drug addiction issues. She goes through rehab, and she does a really amazing job of portraying Rue in that show. So this role of Marie feels a bit too familiar. She plays it a bit too well for me, and I wish that she was given a different history, a different character trope, a character arc, but that's what we got. But she played it beautifully. It's just something I thought I should mention. I also feel like Levinson in the past has been a history of hype. His film Assassination Nation, shot in 2018, it did so well at Sundance, but then it really flopped at the box office. It was released at a horrible time after summer, you know, when all the kids were home from school, would have paid money to go see it in theaters. Malcolm and Marie was equally as hype. Articles and people have been talking about it for months and months. Debates on Twitter, trending debates too, only for it to come and be very underwhelming, at least on the aspect of the screenplay. I don't know if it's Levinson's fault or if it's just us who attach too much hype on his work based on Euphoria because of how good it actually is, you know. I don't know, but I just feel like it's a bit sad. Like his work is really, it's good, but people place too much of a value on it. Then when it actually comes and it doesn't meet our extremely unreasonable expectations, now we place our disappointments on him. I don't know, it's just a feeling. It's just something that I get when I look at his work and I read the comments, I read the tweets. I'm just the average guy. It's interesting to see. On average, I like this film. I would give this film a 7 out of 10, really, because the visuals carry, it's amazing, especially black and white film in 2021. I think the last black and white film I watched was Roma by Alfonso Cuarón, which of course won a slew of Oscars, but they were really bold in the visual aspects of the film, so I really like that. I also like some of the issues that they did tackle. As much as the screenplay was wanting, I liked the issue that they tried to touch on, very relevant and current topics. So I'll give this movie a 7 out of 10. Guys, that's the end of the video. If you stuck around, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Always feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you leave your comments in the section down below, just know I'll always hit you back and I'll always respond. So until the next time, it's been me, your average film geek.